Alright, get a load of this. Arrows on the ground and on the walls. You have to push the D-pad in that direction. Okay? And don't worry, it'll be fair. It won't like put opposite, you know, arrows on the wrong direction of the speedway here, but you're on a unicycle, a tiny yellow unicycle, so tiny that like you are. Honestly, I don't know how it's going this fast either, but yeah, you're Supermaning off the end of it somehow. I don't know. I'm probably gonna screw this up a lot, but you have to get all of the corners perfect. I mean, you know, obviously hitting an arrow or hitting a direction isn't hard to do. No, the hard part is switching directions, especially on a PS3 controller. Now, this level wasn't half as hard on an NES controller as it is on one of these PS3 controllers, and I think that's a lot of people these days, you know, obviously, you know, kids back in the day had a hard time with this level. Well, the more seasoned veterans of this game these days, you know, they odds are they're, you know, in their mid-20s or so, possibly their late 20s or their early 30s, but they will tell you how hard this level is and say that this is the hardest level in the game, when in fact the problem is they are doing it on an Xbox controller or a PS3 controller. You know, they aren't doing it on an NES controller. Do you remember, guys, old seasoned gamer veterans, old school gamers, do you guys remember how hard it was to hit diagonals on an NES controller? Okay, there were some games where you had to do that. Do you remember how hard it was to do that? Okay, now, when you're rocking your thumb around like this, you are going around the diagonals a whole lot more on your PS3 controller and your Xbox controller than you would be on an NES controller. And that's why this level is considered the hardest in the game to you. Okay? Now, if you tried this on a keyboard, you've got a finger assigned to every button, so odds are if you beat this level on a keyboard, you didn't think this level was very hard. Some of you have. I was one of them. I was one of the guys just baffled as to why the fuck this level was considered hard. Because I beat it on a keyboard. Then I learned about playing with a controller and getting a driver for it and playing video games with it on your PC. Holy fuck! This is hard to do on a controller. And mad props to anyone who actually got through this shit on a controller. If you can't, I suggest you set the control keys for your keyboard. Just the direction keys. And try it then, because then you have a finger assigned to every button, and you can let off of every button whenever you want, and, you know, push down on any button whenever you want, instead of having to rock around the diagonals on every corner. See, here's the thing. This is one of the things I haven't mentioned for those of you who are new to seeing this level. That orb, you see this straight away? You see that? You see that? The orb is faster than you. But you can cut the corners better than the orb can. And so that is the only way to gain ground on it. You have to cut every single corner. And that means not hitting it too early and not hitting it too late. Because if you hit a wrong button, you'll slow down to a crawl. Oh Christ, that was terrible. And guess what the boss is? Yeah, it's this little hypnosis ball. I always consider this a hypnosis ball. Apparently I'm the only one that says that. Everybody else says disco ball. I don't know. It looks like a little circular, like, barbershop pole type of hypnosis thing, in my opinion, but yeah, you can call it a disco ball if you want. I mean, I would take this thing to a rave if I owned one, so that is fair. This thing doesn't take too many hits, so I don't consider it to be a very hard boss. The pattern can be really hard to get used to, though. I mean, look at it; it's all over. It's all over the fucking place, and it's also very sensitive when it comes to you getting close to it. Just because, you know, if you get anywhere near close to it, and Lord knows if you try to do it with a jab, you're probably going to get zapped by it. And it only takes 2 hits for it to kill you. But again, that's a whole lot more, that's a whole lot easier than a lot of other bosses in this game. So just, you know, compare that to the other bosses, and you'll find that boss isn't too hard. All right, so this, oh god, that was close. This level takes memorization, and I'm not. Oops, fuck. God, that's fast. All right. Yeah, obviously, if you have reflexes, you can get around that pretty easily, and sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. It is pretty early in the morning. I did wake up relatively recently ago. Well, 2 hours. Nah, I should be up by now, but nah. I've been in a chair all day, so whatever. What was I gonna say? This level is, I say it's memorization because that really is, I mean, it's hard to explain because I'm speaking from the experience of someone who had to do this without save states. Oh god, that was close. Ugh! Jeez. Now, if you're doing this without save states, and I don't just mean, you know, beating the game without save states, I mean learning to beat the game without save states, like doing everything from the ground up, getting the full experience of the game without using any save states, then you're going to find yourself going through everything in the game multiple times just to, you know, get a little practice in on this level. I mean, and every time God, everything, just like you go up and you just die, you know. You go up again and you die. You make it another square inch, you die, you know. And you just keep dying, you keep on using up your continues, and you can't stop. You know, it's a shitty game design, but you know you can't stop because you love the rest of the game. And you're so close to the end, and it was so freaking hard to begin with that, you know, it's such a proud accomplishment. So, you know, you have every incentive to get through this shit. But you have to memorize everything in this level. Just every nook and cranny. Well, I guess there's not very many nooks and crannies since you're in a completely open space, but outside of a tower. But no, that also means you're going to have to go through the turbo tunnel again. You're gonna have to go through Volkminer's Inferno again. You're gonna have to go through Klinger Winger again. I'd say I beat Klinger Winger probably 40 times by the time I even got halfway through this level. You go up, you die in one hit. These teeny ass little platforms, yeah, you better get, if you aren't used to the shitty platform detection in this game by now, you know, sprite to platform detection, you better get used to it right now. I mean, you have no space to work with on these platforms. You just have to just know the shit out of the shitty platform detection. I don't know how else to describe it. Oh, look at that, 9999999. That's the max score. Yeah, that's all the points they give you. Thanks, guys. I mean, I could use that 1 point more that would otherwise give me an extra life. I'm sure that's fucked me many times before. Yeah, I'd say after about the 40th time beating Klinger Winger, I had eventually mastered it, and I had eventually, you know, been able to beat it on 1 life every time after that. Obviously, I didn't this time, but that's because I'm out of practice. Boom. And that's another thing about those green disappearing platforms. Whenever you see a chain of those, the last of them is always going to disappear a whole lot faster than the ones prior to it, and it's always gonna throw you off. It's gonna throw you off a lot, and you like you have to know to go extremely early on the early platforms in order to make that last platform, which is going to throw you off. Fuck, I just died.